And a very pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk, where we talk all things Brevard College athletics and a special football edition this evening. Glad to be joined by three members of the Brevard College football coaching staff. Familiar face to NATO Nation in the upper right corner. That's head coach Bill Khayat. Coach Khayat, thanks for joining the show.
Appreciate you having me, Phil.
In the bottom right corner is newly appointed assistant head coach, special teams coordinator, and safeties coach, Coach Martin Bayless. Coach Bayless, welcome to NATO Nation.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And also with us in that bottom left corner, running backs coach, an official welcome to Coach John Thomlinson. Welcome to Tornado Talk, Coach Thomlinson.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, it's great to have the coaching staff here with us, these three valuable members. And as I mentioned, it's a debut for Coach Thomlinson and Coach Bayless. And these two new additions to the staff certainly add a ton of experience and a lot of know-how and knowledge. Coach Khayat, I'll let you start as far as what these two gentlemen bring to Brevard College football.
Well, after the tremendous success that we had last season on the gridiron, there was plenty of interest in our coaching staff and what it was that we were doing to win all of these ball games. So with that success, there was change because there were several institutions that wanted to take some of this coaching staff and get these ideas. So that left some vacancies. Coming off a year where we had arguably the best defense that the USA South has ever seen. Coach Jakes did a tremendous job with that. But our special teams coordinator had left, and Virginia Tech said, hey, you need to come be a Hokie for us. And so Jaron Gavay had left. And over the past several years, that was really a strong suit for us, was our special teams play. And anyone that knows me knows how I stress the importance of special teams. And I knew that there were some big shoes to fill. So immediately, I went to someone that I have trusted over the years, has become started out truly technically as a teammate, although we were at two different points in our career. I was a journeyman practice squad player, and somebody else had a storied 14-year NFL career, but technically teammates started off, turned into colleagues down the road, and eventually coaching on the same staff and became very good friends. And, you never know what a person's situation is until they ask. So certainly Coach Martin Bayless would have some guys in mind that would be able to do the coaching, but I was never going to pass up the opportunity to ask him if he wouldn't mind doing so. And, very impressive and lengthy resume. I'm sure you probably get into that once you talk to him, but his vast level of experience on all different capacities within professional football. It's just that the different hats that he has worn over time and the things that he has seen, it's truly unbelievable. And I think that once you get into his story a little bit, you'll see that when you ask, what does he bring to it? It's from so many different vantage points, from so much experience that I think you're really fascinated when you hear some of the stories that he has. So that's what he does for me. And then when it comes to Coach John Thomlinson, he and I share a great friend in coaching. So the gentleman's name is Kirby Wilson. He is currently the running backs coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I coached with him at the Arizona Cardinals. And over time, he's become a very good friend of mine. So when that running back position came open after Eric Gallen left to go to Jackson State, I knew once again, what a tremendous contributor Eric Gallen was to the staff. So now I got to find another impressive coach to come in and take a spot. So I go to my friend Kirby and ask him, he's been coaching running backs for decades on the professional level. And so I'd known that he had worked with a lot of running backs, whether they'd been players or coaches throughout his time. And without pause, no hesitation whatsoever, the first name he brought up to me was John Thomlinson. And to hear Kirby light up about all of the things that Coach Thomlinson did with their time together on a professional football staff, truly outstanding to hear the things that he was able to accomplish. And he knew exactly what I was looking for. And boy, did Coach Wilson deliver when he sent me Coach John Thomlinson.
Outstanding. Appreciate that, Coach Khayat. And Coach Bayless, looking at your resume, it's a who's who of NFL brand names and the like. As a player, you played for the Cardinals, the Bills, the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Redskins. As a coach, you've been places like the Buffalo Bills, the Carolina Panthers, over in Europe as part of NFL Europe, the Raiders, the Texans, the Broncos, the Colts, the Cardinals. Just a vast array of experience. I'm sure you've been mentored by several, just incredible head coaches over the years as well. Can you kind of sum up your football life to this point and tell us a little bit how excited you are to now be at Brevard College?
Well, first of all, I want to start off by saying that I am excited to be here. It's a great opportunity for me to continue to coach football, the game I love, and get a chance to work with a coach that I have a great deal of respect for, and Coach Khayat. So we've been talking about this for some period of time. It just so happened that my availability was available, and the decision wasn't very hard. So I'm happy to be here, and I want to be a part of what he's already established with coming into a program that didn't have a lot of history. And in a short period of time, he's been able to put a staff together and have some success in a short window of time. And we just want to come in and build on that and keep his core values in place and continue to have success on and off the football field.
Great. I appreciate that, Coach. And Coach John Thomlinson, the running backs coach here at Brevard College now, also with NFL experience. Coach Khayat mentioned your time with the now Las Vegas Raiders, also spent some time with the Cleveland Browns and the Indianapolis Colts. Some valuable experience down the road from us here at North Carolina Central University, a very successful FCS program. Coach, can you kind of sum up your experience in a nutshell leading into this opportunity? And just like Coach Bayless did, excited to be a Tornado, I'd imagine.
Yeah, very excited, and definitely appreciate the opportunity. I learned something a long time ago from a mentor. He always says it's who teaches you. It's who prepares you for the opportunity. And so, being here feels like I'm in an NFL organization, the way Coach runs things. So some of the adjustment is not much to adjust to, the way we format meetings and the way things operate. So definitely feel great about that aspect of being here. And then just, having a room that was already successful. It's just a matter of not messing anything up. And so, that's where I'm excited. You just want to add something to this whole situation. I tell the guys all the time, I said, life is like an airport terminal. We're all here. But we're getting on different planes at some point. But while we're here in this terminal, we want to make sure that we at least exchange some ideas, have a good experience before we get on different flights. And I constantly tell the kids that, because relationships are important and they do matter. That's how you grow in this profession. And looking at what Coach did last year and just looking at how the team has evolved, I just want to be able to be in this airport terminal and add my piece to it. So as they continue to grow and build, there'll be another person that's going to come along years down the line, and that he'll add some value and build onto it.
Well said, Coach. Appreciate that response. Well, NATO Nation fall practice is underway for the Tornadoes. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, so many college programs postpone season until the spring. However, an expanded fall practice session, and it all started this past week, and then 4 scrimmages culminating with the blue-white game on October the 24th. Coach Khayat, I know you're just a few days in, but I'm sure you've got plenty of feedback as far as what the Tornadoes have brought to the table.
Yeah, well, first, I'd like to say how proud I am of the entire staff for trying to navigate through the logistics of even putting on a practice. I mean, we have all of the protocol that we must follow with the COVID-19 pandemic, and how to handle it, what we need to do, how we need to operate, separate, meet, get people on the field, and be able to have enough players out there to practice. So just marvelous in how they've operated thus far. And we're also in the middle of a transition where we technically currently don't have a home. So Miranda Nash was gracious enough to work with Lee Burgess to try to figure out a place for us to call a locker room. And so we've kind of commandeered the Aux gym. So I know that put a lot of other people out of space. So I can't thank the rest of the coaches that are here in different sports who, when that rain comes down, that's a great place to go. I've already run Molly Penland out. She can't cheer in there doing her work. We've got her out. So a lot of people have been displaced. So before we even get to what we've done as a football program, I just want to thank everybody that's made concessions just to allow us to even be able to do this. Now, as far as what we've been able to do on the field, we went out on Monday and Tuesday just as more of an acclimation period, not a necessary one, but just something that we want to do, just to get guys used to having a helmet on and a chin strap and, just getting used to things in general. And we got lightninged out the first night, and the second night was a little more acceptable for a full practice. But it was really Wednesday when we kicked everything off. And boy, we came out to some plush green grass. I've never seen that field look so beautiful. Hats off to you, Coach D, if you're listening. Great job with that, and Sammy painting those lines for us. But once we got out there, it was almost as if COVID went away. Yeah, you see the coaches wearing the masks, but outside of that, finally there was some normalcy, I thought, and it was just wonderful to see the excitement in the players' eyes. They brought more energy. It was like they wanted every drill to be live, and we're having to pull them back. And there's nothing better as a coach than having to tell a guy to slow down. Because typically you got to pick it up, let's go, we got to be a little faster, move along, and have to get the reins out and pull the kids back and tell them, hey, wait a minute, guys, this drill's not live. We don't need to tackle anybody. That was just such a great sight to see, and I was just truly happy for those kids that they got this opportunity to finally be out there after such a lengthy time away from the game and the camaraderie and the friendship. So just all of that, forget schematics and X's and O's and replacing guys that left. I mean, to me, that's not what I was really looking for in this first week. I just wanted these guys to be able to come out and enjoy themselves. And from there, we will build.
Coach Bayless, your first real look at the Tornadoes in action, flying around the practice field. What were your impressions?
Well, I had a cheat sheet because Coach Khayat made sure once I came on board that I went backwards and looked at what they did last year. Coach Govea did a great job with special teams, so I got some big shoes to fill with the production and expectation. But it was great to see the kids come out. We have been working with them in a different capacity for the last 7 weeks since we got on campus, dealing with more of the administration, classes, and just trying to get them to understand the importance of being student athletes. But a couple nights ago, we got a chance to get on the field, and you got a chance to see all that come to fruition, seeing the energy, being able to talk to them about football, because the first 7 weeks hadn't really been about the football on the grass. It's been more about the football in the background. So it was a great deal to get out on the field, be able to see the coaches do their magic, see the players respond. It's nothing greater than coaching football when it's time to coach football. And it's been time here to get started. And I'm happy about the first week of our progression because I come in with a different system, more of a pro-style system that our players are going to have to adopt to. And I believe that we have enough qualified players who can adapt to that system. And I believe, based upon my past experiences of going from one place to another, installing this similar system through, I talk about my mentors a lot, guys like the late Joe Avezzano, who was a mentor of mine, who was with the Dallas Cowboys, Scotty O'Brien, who was a special team coordinator I worked with, who's now a scout with the Patriots, but he was at the Carolina Panthers when I was there, and also the Broncos. And then Gary Zauner, who is a specialist coach who handles all of the NFL kicking combines. So when you look at the tier of special teams coaches that I've had access to, being on the staff and learning from, I talk to all the players about building your own Frankenstein. So this is my chance to continue. I've been to 3 different places where I've been the head special team coordinator, and I got to build my own Frankenstein, and I've had success in all 3 places. So I'm just looking forward to continuing to add a 3rd Frankenstein to my lab.
Very good. And Coach Thomlinson, your first look as well, as far as the Tornadoes live and in action, and also, the first time you've had the chance to spend time on the field with your unit, the running backs unit. Can you give us your impressions?
Yeah, I'm definitely grateful for what Coach Gallen has already done. And I told the guys that in some of our first meetings. Now, I met with these guys actually a month ago on a Zoom chat, and pretty much have been staying in contact with them every week. And, when I first accepted the offer that Coach Khayat had put out, I immediately started breaking down the film from last year so I can just get some reference points of the returning guys. And that was very helpful. And it's pretty much aligned. And so, like I said, Coach Gallen did a good job of preparing these guys already. So it's just a matter now of just building on top of what he's already putting in place. And just from the observations and evaluations that have already been done, it aligns pretty much with what I saw on film. And I believe, now we're just going to take a couple of guys and give them some opportunities to showcase themselves a little bit more in some different spots. But I think overall it'll benefit the offense. But so far, so good. This is a good room that we have.
Very good. Coach Khayat, 3 more scrimmages on the books at the newly expanded Islamel Family Field. Before we kind of get into the plans for the rest of the fall, a practice and some scrimmage activity this past Saturday. And that was really the first time the Tornadoes were in action on Ives Lamel Family Field since the renovation, since the expansion, the new grandstand in place. Can you tell us about that as far as, the Tornadoes being excited playing on campus?
Well, I've mentioned this time and again about practicing on that turf. There's some kind of magic that takes place. We're out in the grass. We're off kind of on our own. If anyone knows the location of our actual practice fields, they're as far away from all the activity as possible. We're pretty much unseen unless you're looking for us. And when we would come over the last 3 seasons onto that turf, there was a natural energy that was just formed when we would get out there. The difficulty was I couldn't use it that often because there were no football lines painted. And that's critical. I mean, if you don't have lines, you can't get spacing and depth and alignments. I mean, the game's missing. And of course, there were no uprights. So, the kickers don't really have anything to work with. So this was the first time that we actually have those lines painted on the field. So now it truly looked like a football field. So you add that element to the fact that they have that natural energy where now they're out in the public eye, or really the Brevard community eye, and so whether that's people going for a nice jog or walking their dog, or kids walking to their sport practice and they're walking by, there's enough people there to see what they're doing. And, it just turns the juice up that much more while we're out there. But definitely thrilled about the fact that they have a place to truly call home now.
Very good. And Coach, can you tell us a little more about the plans for these next few weeks, all culminating with that blue-white game on October 24th?
Yeah, so it'll be similar each week. So Wednesdays and Thursdays, those are a typical, more hard-hitting crossover work, offense going to defense, very physical reps when we get on special teams. And then Fridays are typically lighter with the crossover work between offense and defense, and then a heavy emphasis on special teams, cover every single thing that we can, but we pull back a little bit on the hitting on Fridays because we want the guys to be able to truly turn it loose and give it everything they have on Saturdays. Every Saturday at 10 in the morning, We do scrimmage. We like to start it off with some type of competition. So I try to give a little show for those that were there last time. And we put our first drill, what we call Triangleville. And, it's a form of what's an Oklahoma drill for those that are a little bit into the football jargon, where a lot of one-on-one battles of blocking and running and all that. And we try to put that drill right in front of the stands so they could get a good look at it. But, we went through several different drills that would be not necessarily scheme related, more effort and just individual ability to look at the guys. Then we kind of grow into what's called 7-on-7, where you're throwing the ball around and the guys are working on defensive skills, offensive skills, but it's more scheme driven now. Then you finally get into 11 versus 11, playing it out. And then in between each set of 10 reps, offense against defense, then we touch on a different phase of special teams, depending on what Coach Bayless wants for that day. And that'll look the same every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for the next 3 weeks. Will look identical until the final Saturday, which is October 24th. That will now be a game, which would take place at 1 o'clock rather than 10. And assuming we don't get hit by anything with this COVID outbreak or anything like that, that we will be able to put on an actual game where we plan on having captains that draft picks and select. And, hey, whatever that team is, that's a team. So I'm interested to see if they go with a tackle first, a defensive lineman, a quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys build their teams.
Yeah, some general manager, caps being put on for that draft for the blue-white game. Coach Bayless, special teams coordinator, could you tell us a little bit about if a Brevard College Tornado player is a special teams unit member, whether he's part of one of the different units on special teams or perhaps a kicker. What's it like to be a special teams player under your direction?
Well, first of all, when we communicate with the players, there's some definite words that we want to get across from them. It's about attitude. It's about playing physical and being nasty. So that's the trademark that in the words that we're going to use. You can include discipline there also, because sometimes when people think of physical and nasty, they think of the team that's walking around pulling their helmets off and throwing them at people. What would definitely not be that outfit. Will be way more composed than that. So, you look for a certain style, and I use the word DNA. Some players have that already. So it's our goal to pull those players out who can do that naturally. And those who don't have those qualities, it's our job as coaches to instill those qualities in those players. And I believe we have enough guys on this team based upon the players who played last season that returned, and also the young guys that we brought in recruiting. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to just basically teaching them the fundamentals, because that's where it all starts at. That's where the mentors who I've learned from have always been great fundamental coaches and great drills coaches, where they have a selection of drills that cross over into the teaching so that the players can be fundamentally sound. The most unique thing about special teams is that I'm not only a special team coach, I'm an offensive line coach, because there's some skill sets that we have to teach the punt team to block. I'm a defensive coach where I got to now teach tight ends and running backs to run down the field and make tackles. On field goal block, I got to teach a combination of defense and offensive lineman techniques so that we can rush the kick and block the kick, depending on body types and profiles of players. I got to have a good return specialist. So you got to grab players who had the history of being dynamite return guys, whether that was in college or high school, and then you got to coach those guys up. So you find yourself as a special team coach being a guy who has to be a jack of all trades, and then also be able to lean on the staff and have them be involved and help you, put all the ingredients together in hopes that when Saturday comes around every week, that we've instilled enough in the players so they can go out on Saturday afternoon and turn it loose. And at the end of the day, I'm always a person who have goals and objectives. I make that clear with my players. So each week we go into a game, or each week we go into perform against a different opponent. We're going to be well coached. We're going to know what they're going to do. They for sure are going to know what we're going to do. But we just got to do it better than them. We got to do it faster than them. We got to be nastier than them, and win the battle. So you always hear Coach Bayless talking about the result is win the battle, and that's a mindset for us. You know, when I played in Kansas City on the championship teams with guys like Marcus Allen, Joe Montana, Derrick Thomas, the late Derrick Thomas, Neil Smith, Coach Marty Schottenheimer, who's one of my mentors as well, because I have a defensive background. Coach Schottenheimer was very clear on what his objectives were and how we got to those objectives. So as a coach, you adopt some of the personalities of people you've been around, the things that worked. And that's why I hear my term is that I get a chance to build my own Frankenstein, because I get to take other people's parts that I've learned as a player and as a coach and put them in my toolbox and then build my monster. So I've been fortunate enough to be around a lot of great coaches, a lot of great leaders of men. And I think Coach Khayat has seen me in action. So when he was calling me during the off season, I told him one day we'll coach together, and it just so happened that this is the time. And I'm more than appreciative to be here, and looking forward to February when we get back here in January and turn it up again. But in the meantime, there's about 4 months before we get to February, and I got to get my seniors ready for war. So I'm right now coaching the inner secrecies of warfare in our special team meetings.
Very good. Appreciate that, Coach Bayless. And similarly, Coach Thomlinson, if a student athlete joins your running back core, can you tell us a little bit about what that experience would be like for that young man?
Yeah, definitely. For me, first about accountability, making sure you are where you're supposed to be. The things that happen off the field are very important to when you get on the field, because honestly, if you don't take care of the off-field stuff, you're not going to be in the room. That's difficult. Coach can't bring you into the program, so we don't get anywhere if we can at least take care of that part. So accountability is very important. And the thing that I've been stressing to these guys is finishing. Finishing every run, every block, everything. All the details, they do matter. So when we meet, we always talk about that, and now they're starting to reflect that on the field. So if they're not on that ground with that ball, then I expect them to run to the end zone. So, you know, they've been doing a good job of buying into that, but accountability and finishing are critical factors to playing that position, because they need to know the details. And I've always believed that as much as quarterbacks need to understand an offensive lineman, that running back is next to that quarterback. So he has to know everything about pass protection and be very functional in his execution, because if he's not going to be in the game long. Because he's going to get their quarterback hurt. So, you know, those little things, they matter. So that's why we always, you know, preach the gospel about the details of the position and making sure that they understand that. Their physical ability will take over as long as they understand the rules. So, you know, those two main things is what we've been really focusing on.
Appreciate that, Coach. Coach Bill Khayat, before we let you go and we segue to our student athlete guest, any kind of final words as far as state of the union, where we're at right now with Brevard College football, both on the micro and macro?
Well, we just want to thank everyone for their support of the program. I mean, without the support, and that doesn't necessarily mean financial support, it just could mean words of encouragement. It could mean any type of assistance whatsoever. We're just extremely grateful to anyone and everyone who plays a part in this. There's so many roles that go unseen, but without those roles that are truly vital to the program, we wouldn't have the success that we do. So just to everyone that is involved, we just want to thank them all for their role in contributing to our success.
Very good. And thank you, Coach. And do want to let fans know if they want to come out to that blue-white game on Saturday, October 24th, there are some protocols in place due to COVID-19, but it is open to the public. So come on down. You can get an early look of the Tornadoes in action at that newly expanded Ives Lamel Family Field. Well, we're going to start to invite in our student-athlete guest. And as we do that, as we have Gabe Rebollar-Catalan in the house. Good to see Gabe, Jordy Wilkinson, and Derrick Frazier. Good to see these three student athletes. Love to hear from each of you. If you guys want to give these three some words of wisdom before we let you go. Coach Thomlinson, we'll start with you. Final thoughts?
Continue to focus on the details, gentlemen. That's the most important thing. Focus on the details.
Very good. And Coach Thomlinson, thanks for joining Tornado Talk. We'll let you get back to your preparations. Thanks again. We'll see you down the road.
All right. Thank you. All right.
And Coach Martin Bayless, final words and perhaps some words of wisdom to these three.
These guys see me every morning at 6:30 in the morning, so I think they get enough of my information. I try to be straightforward with them and motivate them in different ways. So I'm looking forward to working with them this fall, and then in turn, I hope that the information and things that we're teaching them about football will help them be successful when we come back in 2021 when we got to kick off the season. But I always told them, guys, we still got to do the work here the next 5 weeks to build the new foundation. I used a comparison to Tom Brady when he was in New England for 20 years, that every April 1st, Tom had to come back to camp and he had to start all over again. So I know if the GOAT, as they call him, has had to go through that transformation every year. We won last season. We got a ring, but the path that we want to carve out for 2021 is still out there. And it's not going to happen because we won last year. It's going to happen when we take advantage of this opportunity and prepare ourselves, because we know it's going to be a war come February when we got to kick off, and we got to be ready for the war.
Very good. Coach Bayless, thank you for joining Tornado Talk. Really appreciate you joining the show this evening and letting us introduce you to NATO Nation. We'll see you down the road, Coach. Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And Coach Bill Khayat, will leave you with the final word before we let you go as well. Can you tell us a little about these three student athletes and what makes these three exceptional?
Okay, well, I'll start off with the fact that we preach 14 keys to success to our team, and we go over them systematically throughout installations in the fall and then again in the springtime. Things such as enthusiasm, unselfishness, self-discipline, consistency. I mean, the list goes on and on for 14 of them. And the three people that you're looking at right now exemplify everything that we look for in the football student athlete at Brevard College. So much so, they're such superb examples that they are the only three members that we have in our Champions Club. This is a very elite club. We've only had one player ever to make it twice, and he is now coaching on my staff. That was Josh Romero. So this is a deal where we had guys that were 99%, Aaron Bennett being one of them. But the 1% off, you don't make it. So when we say literally you did nothing wrong, they follow every rule and regulation we set forth. They're just what we want out of our student athlete. And so that way it's very simple for us to say, hey, I think Gabe Rebollar would be a great mentor for you. I think Jordy Wilkinson is someone that you could follow. I think Derrick Frazier is something that you should look at. And they all have different stories of how they came about entering the Champions Club. So there's someone that can connect in some way to their story. So, when it comes to Gabe, I mean, he is a lot like Josh Romero in a way where he's very involved in all of the things that go on this campus. He's always the first one to turn something in. He's always, when you send something out and, hey, I need this done, there's no question that he'll be the first one to have the box checked, everything completed. And then when it comes to his play on offense, I mean, he really knows this offense inside and out. So he's great to be able to plug in at any time. You don't ever have to worry about, oh, shoot, we need an outside receiver. Put him in. We need an inside receiver. Okay, put Gabe in. All right, we need a tight end. Okay, Gabe's the one. So he has a lot to offer in that manner. He's really taken on a leadership role, being able to educate these guys and coach some of these younger guys that may have a little difficulty with picking up the offense. Jordy Wilkinson is a player who's making a transition from one position to another. So over the past few years, he's been more of a fullback type. Now he's going to make the transition to tight end, but also mix in with some of that fullback play. And you talk about a guy that put in the hard work. If you've seen what he'd been doing over the summer and getting as creative as possible with the limited options you have during COVID and gym shutdown, I won't even get into talking about pushing cars uphill and all kinds of things. So anyway, I'm sure he can explain all the things that he's done. But once again, without an extremely high GPA, you don't make it. So he does everything right in the classroom. But the willingness to learn and want to be great and contact me after every practice and asking, Coach, what can I do to be better? How can I fix this? Well, how can I go about that? It means that he cares. And that's truly important to me. And then Derrick, I mean, what a battle of toughness and determination, because he's really truly had to battle injuries. What an exceptional athlete that he is. And it's simple to have frustration set in when you know you can do things on the field and you get limited by injury, because I had to live through it my senior year in college when I was the preseason All-American and then had to limp for 10 quarters on one leg and wouldn't want to come out because I didn't want to let anybody down. And, you know, Derrick came from a place where maybe the things that he did academically weren't as strong as where he is now. So the improvement in that area, just it lets everybody know that wherever you start doesn't mean that's where you have to finish. So what a great example of a guy who perseveres. And, you know, I'm expecting some great things from Derrick this year. So 3 wonderful human beings. I couldn't be more proud to call them my players. And I'm just so thankful every day that they're a part of our team.
Outstanding, Coach. Appreciate that, and appreciate you joining Tornado Talk. We'll see you at a future edition of Tornado Talk, without a doubt. Best of luck as fall practice continues this month, Coach, and thanks again for joining the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Bill.
All right, that's head coach Bill Khayat, and now we can get started with these 3 members of the Brevard College Tornadoes. Had some early messages coming in already. This latest one from Miranda Nash, Director of Athletics. Proud of you. Keep being great leaders. And I want to get started, guys, though, with something that Coach mentioned, which was, you know, everybody throughout the country, in fact, the world, you know, things had to change during this pandemic, and people had to get creative as far as, you know, not only passing the time, but for people like yourself, student athletes, staying in shape. And we heard some of those kind of methods, and we'll start with Jordy. Can you kind of give us some insight? What were some of the things, Jordy, that you did in the off season to stay in shape? And please feel free to you know, tell us the most creative ones that you maybe came up with.
So working out, you know, the gyms were closed, so I didn't have much to work with in my garage. I had like a bench and that was it. So on leg day, I would get my sister's Jeep and I would push it up and down the driveway as many times as I could. And then once my legs got tired, I pulled a strap around the back of it and I would wrap it around me and keep dragging it until I couldn't no more. And then after that, I'd run up and down the neighborhood as many times as possible. And I'd set up like little cones in the yard, and like people thought I was crazy. I know all my neighbors thought I was crazy, but I'd set up cones and like set up a whole defense, and I would run through all the plays that we were learning and trying to get used to like running against different defenses, like what I had to do on this play, what I had to do on this. And that was basically how I prepared myself every day.
Very good. It sounds like you did whatever it took, you know, and it certainly got creative there. Derrick, can you tell us a little bit about your off season and, you know, how you were able to keep in game shape?
My off season was a lot of dumbbell work, mostly dumbbell work because all the gyms were closed, the fields were closed for a long time, and since we couldn't get on fields, I had to do a lot of yard work, a lot of cones in the yard, a lot of hills and stuff like that.
Very good. And same question for you, Gabe Rebollar-Catalan. In terms of, off-season conditioning, to give us a little insight what you were up to.
Luckily, the gym I work out at, it's a private gym, one-on-one sessions. They were able to stay kind of open, limited to only 3 days a week. So luckily, I was still able to get in some of that dumbbell work in. But when we would go outside, I work out outside working on linear speed, or we work out on lateral multi-directional speed. And so those workouts outside with the trainer really helped. One-on-one sessions, just trying to get in condition for the season that I thought was going to be in August. But at least I'm ready in condition.
And fall practice now underway. This is kind of a little more intense than what you would usually experience in the spring, as far as what the coaches are taking you guys through. Jordy, how has practice gone so far?
I think it's going, for the first week, I think it's really going good. I feel like everybody came out with a whole lot of energy, a whole lot of enthusiasm. Everybody was flying around, getting to where they need to go. I mean, yeah, we made mistakes. It's the first week, but everybody was giving extreme effort, and that was definitely everybody was able to see that. And if we keep going the way we're going, we're going to finish pretty strong in the spring and keep popping heads all spring.
And Derrick Frazier, a member of a defense that was one of the best in the nation last year, just absolutely a lockdown unit on that side of the ball. What were the things you've seen that are positives in these first few days of practice?
Like Jordy said, everybody came out with a lot of energy. And for Wednesday being our first day of pads, we hit hard, we stayed at each other. And you'll think that people's bodies will be sore and they'll die down. And no, we came out Thursday, Friday, and even on the scrimmage Saturday, and we were still going at it.
And Gabe Rebollar-Catalan, senior tight end. You seeing things you like out of this year's team in terms of chemistry, in terms of attitude?
Chemistry is huge. With the captain practices we had before the actual practices, the official practices, I feel like we built a little bit of chemistry in the offense, especially with the quarterbacks, the new quarterbacks coming in. We kind of build that chemistry there. And the energy and the effort, everyone's competing. Everyone knows that we don't have a guaranteed starting spot, so everyone's competing to get that spot. Even quarterbacks, receivers, I'm competing. Even though I'm a senior, we're all still competing. So that's the best thing, is that everyone's giving an energy Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Jordy, Coach Khayat talked a little bit about your position change, playing more tight end these days. Can you tell us a little more about that and, how that adjustment's been for you?
It's been really different because, like you said, I'm used to being the fullback. So whenever you're playing fullback, you're kind of locked into like a certain role. You're either leading up on linebackers or like stretching on stretch plays. But with tight end, I'm doing all those things, but I'm also on the line of scrimmage and I'm out running routes and all that. So it's a lot to learn, but I'm getting used to it, trying to learn all the techniques. I couldn't ask for a better coach, and Coach Khayat being able to teach me these things, because he's been through all this. So he knows exactly what he's talking about. And as long as I keep learning from him and keep going, I think I'll have a pretty great season.
And Derrick Frazier, senior defensive back from Hartwell, Georgia, Hart County High School. Derrick, tell us a little bit what it's like to be a defensive back for the Tornadoes. What's that experience like?
Oh, it's great. A lot of changes came since my freshman year. Just getting used to what we're doing now, because we had an old DC, and now Coach Jake's being our DC. He's very fundamental, and he's basically simplified the defense, and we just go play hard and play the ball. And everybody runs to the ball, and we have fun, and we make plays.
And Gabe Rebollar-Catalan, tight end, senior from Scottsdale, Arizona. And, just like Jordy, part of that tight end unit. And what's interesting about that, as far as how the coaching responsibilities work out, is your head coach, Bill Khayat, is also your unit coach if you're a tight end. Coach Khayat played tight end, of course, had a illustrious college career at Duke University and then played in the NFL at the position. Can you talk a little bit about that, what it's like to have Coach Khayat as your coach for your unit?
I think it's special. He's always making sure that we're on top of things because we represent him. So if we do something wrong, it makes him look bad as a coach. But overall, he's a great coach, showing us how he experienced everything through college and through the league, and also coaching tight ends in the NFL and all, and in the league. So just being able to learn from him and grasp all that like a sponge, it's great to have him as that coach, as our unit.
And Gabe, we'll stick with you for this next one because you participated in a photo shoot a few weeks back at the newly expanded Eyes Lamel Family Field, which was for President David Joyce's newsletter. So I do want to thank you for your service in that and in helping out with that. But it was an important public service announcement that was happening at the same time because that photo shoot was done wearing masks. Mm-hmm. And we're trying the best we can across campus to emphasize those 3 W's, wearing a mask, waiting 6 feet apart, washing your hands. Can you talk a little bit about that? Hey, we're all in this thing together. If we can keep this thing at bay, hopefully we'll get to play ball come the spring. And, for a senior like yourself, that's a big deal. Can you talk about, kind of how the student body and the student athletes are rallying around this cause?
Well, yeah, our main goal, I think all the student athletes, is we want to play. And so being able to play, we have to do those 3 W's, wear a mask, wait 6 feet apart, and wash your hands. I think also the faculty, the lunchroom, and the areas are doing phenomenal of keeping that guideline strict in the lunchrooms or in the dorms. The RAs, as myself, I'm one of the RAs. We have a rule that everyone should be wearing the mask if you're inside the building or outside the building. And so as a group, everyone's trying to play in the spring. So that's all that we have a common goal, and that's what we want to do. That's why we want to focus on those 3 W's.
Great. I appreciate those words and appreciate everybody's, hard work in this department. It's, it can be uncomfortable and maybe even annoying at times, but glad everybody's on board and trying to make this work. So on behalf of all NATO Nation, we want to see you guys play as well as soon as possible. Do want NATO Nation to get to know a little bit more about each of you as well. Derrick Frazier, we'll start with you, again, a senior from Hartwell, Georgia. Can you tell us a little bit about your football background and eventually how you became a Tornado?
I started playing football around 11 and all the way up through 11 through my senior year of college. In high school, I played DB, some receiver sometimes. And basically, my senior year, I tore my ACL and I got a call from the coaches here. And they wanted me to come play, so I came and visit, and I liked it here. So I liked what they had coming in, so I just decided to come here and play ball.
And same question for you, Jordy Wilkinson Jr. from Washington, Georgia. Can you kind of tell us about your football journey?
Yeah, so I've been playing football ever since I was a kid. Washington is a very small area, so there's not too much to do. So everybody kind of rallies behind sports in the town. So, you come up, you're going to play football. So once I went through high school, got around the senior year, was looking for a place to play. And I had Brevard. I'd never heard of Brevard, nowhere on my radar. And my senior year of spring break, I was going and visiting schools and trying to figure out where I wanted to spend my next 4 years playing ball. And Coach Jakes called me, and he was like, "Hey, man, we're picking out jersey numbers. What number you want?" And I was like, I'm not sure. And so we just got to talking. He convinced me to come up here. And after that, I came here, and I couldn't really explain what it was about this place. It's like I had a gut feeling. I knew it was special. And my mom asked me when we left, she's like, "What do you think about this place?" I said, "I'm going to be spending my next 4 years here." I couldn't explain to anyone why I chose this school because I really don't know. But it's just that gut feeling that I ran with, and I'm so glad I decided to come here.
We're glad as well, Jordy, that you followed those instincts. It sounded like your heart led you here to to Brevard College. Gabe Rebollar-Catalan out of Arizona, so, a couple time zones away from us here in the mountains of Western North Carolina. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, high school, I didn't really play much. I was on the bench a lot. The only time I went in was when we were up like 70-0. I just had a bunch of guys in front of me that were very talented that now are in the NFL, playing with the Cardinals. But overall, out of high school, I went straight into JUCO, and that's where I met Coach Khayat, Coach Jakes, and they were there as position coaches when I was there at the JUCO. Once my time was done, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no offers. I had no one looking at me. Coach Jakes came to look at one of our quarterbacks, and the quarterback had me run some routes for him. And that's when Coach Jakes started talking to me, and he's like, "Hey, if you're interested, come to Brevard." And that was like 3 months before August of 2018. I was like, I think I have to make a decision now, or either I play football now or I just work for the rest of my life. And so I don't regret the decision coming out here. It's way different out here. It's super green, but I don't regret the decision coming out to Brevard. Having the experiences, having new friends, experiencing a new culture in the East. And so it's just different, but overall, it's fun.
Yeah, glad you found us as well, Gabe. Well, all three of you were upperclassmen, so graduation is, within sights. Would like to hear from each of you as far as your academics. What are you majoring in? What do you plan to perhaps do with that major post-graduation? Jordy, we'll start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your studies?
Yeah, I'm majoring in physical education, but I have my certification in physical training. So what I want to kind of do is combine those things. I would like to be a strength and conditioning coach. I don't know if I want to go high school, college, or if pro came around, I would love to take the opportunity. But I'm kind of just seeing where that life takes me, and whatever comes along, I'm going to jump on it after graduation. But I really want to get into strength and conditioning.
Very good, Jordy. And Derrick Frazier, senior defensive back, but I know you're hard at work as well on the academic side of things and in the classroom. Can you tell us more?
I'm a criminal justice major, and after college, me and Dr. Powers, we discuss a lot, normally weekly, about what I'm going to do after I graduate. And my plan is really to work locally, if it's here or back home, until something federal comes, and then if something federal comes, and take off from there. So it's always a big thing to go bigger and to make more money and to be happy.
Very good. And Gabe Rebollar-Catalan, also a senior. Tell us about your studies.
I have a major, I'll be doing a major in exercise science and a minor in coaching. Similar with Jordy, I want to get into the strength and conditioning field, see what I can do, work with high school, college, or pros. I also did an internship in the summer. I did get offered a position there once I'm done with college. So I have doors, I already have some options coming out of college. Who knows, wherever God takes me, wherever I go.
Very good. Well, 3 members of the Champions Club, and Coach Khayat described just what it takes to be a member of that Champions Club, really getting it done in all areas, including the classroom, these 3. Before I let you go, I do always like giving you the opportunity to give a shout out or a thank you to anybody who might be viewing this program, either live or in the future, or just someone who maybe has helped you along the way. Jordy Wilkinson, we'll let you get us started. Anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, I want to send a shout out to my whole family. I couldn't do anything without them. I want to send a shout out to my girlfriend at school. She keeps me focused and keeps me on top of things. And I also want to shout out everybody from Washington Wilkes. Couldn't be the person I am without y'all. And shout out to all my coaches and teammates. You guys keep me going, keep me energized, and keep me enthusiasm. So couldn't do it without y'all either.
All right, that's Jordy Wilkinson, tight end from Washington, Georgia, Washington Wilkes High School. And next up, Derrick Frazier. Got some shout-outs for us, Derrick?
I'd like to shout out my family and the coaches here, and also my teammates, because without them, there wouldn't be a way I'd make it this far and be the man I am today.
Very good. Derrick Frazier, thank you for joining the program. Appreciate you joining Tornado Talk. And that leaves us with Gabe Rebollar-Catalan, the last man standing here on Tornado Talk.
Yeah.
Got some shout outs for us.
Yeah, I want to shout out everyone in my family in Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona, my whole family. Give a shout out to Miranda Nash, the AD, for letting us practice this fall. Not a lot of teams are practicing Division III, and shout out to her for letting us practice this fall. Shout out to all my coaches, Coach Khayat, Coach Romero, and that's pretty much it. Everyone in Arizona, thank you for everything.
Very good. Appreciate you joining Tornado Talk, Gabe Rebollar-Catalan. And want to thank Gabe, Jordy Wilkinson, and Derrick Frazier, the three members of that Champions Club from the football team, for joining the program. And also want to thank our coaches who joined the show, head coach Bill Khayat, running backs coach John Thomlinson, and assistant head coach, special teams coordinator, safeties coach Martin Bayless. Thank them for joining the show. And thank you, NATO Nation, for tuning in to this edition of Tornado Talk. Now, be sure to stay tuned to this channel throughout the week. Some exciting things, especially on Friday. Hall of Fame inductions for Brevard College Tornado Athletics. That'll be on Friday. 3 Hall of Famers will be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and we'll have some special editions of Tornado Talk for that. That's beginning at 6 p.m. This Friday. Thanks once again for joining Tornado Talk. Be sure to follow the Tornadoes on social media at BC Tornadoes, both on Instagram and Twitter. And we'll see you down the road for a future edition of Tornado Talk. Go Tornadoes.